Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to thank the whole entire Russell Athletic Bowl staff. This has been a great trip for our guys. I just came out of a senior meeting with all my seniors this morning, and these guys have had a great time. They really have. This has been a fun bowl. Obviously, there's a lot to partake in here in Orlando, and we've tried to do the best we can to have a good balance and allow our guys to enjoy what Orlando has to offer with the parks and all that the bowl allows them to participate in. But at the same time, really have great focus and good work here as well. And we've been able, I think, to accomplish both. And the guys feel really good about it. We've probably had some of the best bowl practices that I've ever been around. And we may get our butts kicked tomorrow night. I don't know. But we've really practiced well. And we really have. I really am appreciative of the leadership that our seniors have provided, not just here in Orlando, but back home at Clemson. It's been a lot of fun, we're looking forward to participating in this game. I think this is one of the games that a lot of people are going to watch. It's a really good matchup, and for us to have an opportunity to play a team like Oklahoma. And a team that really truly is a few plays away from probably being in that college football playoff, and we feel like we're kind of in the same boat. So these are two really good teams coming off of BCS wins last year that I think will provide for great entertainment tomorrow night. But we have great respect for Oklahoma. It's been a lot of fun for me to get to know Coach Stoops a little bit. I've been around him some over the last 20-plus years, just different settings here and there, but I've really never really had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with him. And so I've enjoyed getting to know him a little bit. Obviously a great football coach, as good as there's been in the country since he's been doing it. And but a really good person, and I like his staff. I know several of those guys, and we had an opportunity to spend a little time together last night, so I really enjoyed that. But it's time to play the game, and today is a Focus Friday for us, where we'll kind of bring it all together and kind of button down the hatches a little bit and get these guys dialed in like we would on a normal game week. So look forward to the luncheon today. And just appreciate all you guys showing up. And again, from the whole, thanks to the whole Russell Athletic Bowl group for providing us a great opportunity.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open it up to Q&A at this time. Once again, if you could find a microphone, we'll start over here in the front.
David Hood with TigerNet. Coach, you'd love to talk about the Dandy Dozen and how they got this program set in the right direction. But in talking to these seniors, they feel like they've helped this program take the next step, and now you're ready to vault one more step. Talk about your feelings about this group tomorrow when they go out to play their last game, and then do you feel like you're ready to take that next step?
Yeah, well, I mean, this has been a special group. I was just telling Tim Beret when he sat in my senior meeting with him this morning, and just good people. They're good people, first of all. And, we got some highly recruited guys in that group, guys like a Stephon Anthony, Tony Stewart, some of those type of guys. And then we got some guys nobody really knew anything about. Robert Smith, Grady Jarrett's, Kalen Davis wasn't necessarily a highly recruited guy. And Sam Cooper, Adam Humphreys, guys like that. And it's just been a really fun group to go to work with every day. And, they've not only led on the field, but they've led off the field. All these guys are going to have their degrees. I think we have 3 guys that have to come back in the spring semester out of 34 seniors, counting our walk-ons, to graduate. I'm really proud of that. And just the standard that they've set for the guys that are going to follow in behind them. They're the winningest senior class in school history. And they all came here 4 and 5 years ago with just kind of buying into what we were trying to do as a program. And now here we are. This is my 6th full year, and we're trying to get our 4th 10-win season. And these guys deserve all the credit because it's about the players. And listen, us coaches, we get way too much credit. These players have to buy in, and these guys have bought in from a recruiting standpoint. And then also throughout the process that they've gone through as players here at Clemson. And it's going to be special. It's an honor to be able to take the field with them one more time tomorrow night, and hopefully we can find a way to win and send them out with another victory, 42nd win, which would be quite an accomplishment from where we were 6 years ago. And that's really, to me, they represent what we want our program to be. And 6 years ago when I got this job, I wanted to become one of the most consistent programs in the country. And these guys are the epitome of that. They've been very consistent. They've lost 2 home games in their career, at home, and they allowed us to really reestablish Death Valley. And then they've done some great things on the road as well. So looking forward to it.
Coach Bob Berry from KFOR, the NBC in Oklahoma City. We, Oklahoma media people, were caught off guard by Samaje Perine of Oklahoma at the start of the year. We weren't led to believe he would be in the mix as a true freshman, and yet now he's literally 100 yards away from having the top 5, moving into the top 5 single-season rushing record mark. What are your thoughts on him and, as to how he plays?
He's a great player. As coaches, you just never really know. I don't think they tried to mislead you guys out there. I just think that, you never really know till you get out there and you go to work and you put some of these guys through camp. And as I tell our guys all the time, we don't have preseason games. Like NFL's got 4 preseason games to kind of go figure it out. We don't have that. We just got real bullets right out of the gate. And you go with guys that are experienced and been there. There's a lot of unknowns with freshmen, but I think that that young man has he probably responded in a way that they went, okay, we got something special here, and he was able to handle more and more as they went throughout the season. And young players, as they have a little success, that you see that confidence grow. You see that with all the time, and he's a perfect example of that. He's special. I mean, he's 240 plus pound bowling ball, man. He's hard to tackle, and it's not just him. They're going to play 3 guys, and all those guys, in my opinion, are outstanding backs, and they bring different things to the table. But he's a load for sure. They got something special, and that's what they want to do. They want to run the football. You look at how they're built, and you look at their offensive line. These guys are massive men, and they can move. So we got our hands full with that bunch.
Coach, since the last time we saw you having success against South Carolina, you've got new co-offensive coordinators. You got a different quarterback under center. It's been nearly a month since you've played. Are you at all concerned about rhythm and picking up where you left off? Do you think you're going to have to establish some things early on?
That's always part of the bowl season for everybody. It's no different for Oklahoma or anybody else. There's always that transition, if you will, kind of getting back into that game mode because they haven't played for a while. But hopefully our practices have allowed us to keep them game ready the way we structure practices, and we mix in quite a bit of live work, especially back at Clemson, just to kind of create that game tempo, if you will. We'll adjust quickly. Again, we got an experienced football team, and it'll come down to the same things that it always does. But hopefully we'll be able to kind of get those jitters out of the way early and just settle in and play a good game.
Aaron Brenner from the Post and Courier. With this being Tony's first game up in the box and as a play caller, does it help at all just because it's also a good chance for the backs and receivers who are going to be here next year to get used to how he does things?
Yeah, it's been it's as I was saying the other day, I think that just the way it all worked out, this is really a blessing for us as a staff because it's allowed me to kind of transition and get things settled. Instead of after the bowl season having to deal with all that and then kind of bringing the staff together at the end of January when we get done with recruiting and going through all of our season cut-ups and review and what we did good, what we did bad, and having to kind of start over with a new guy. Being able to get Streeter in place, who's our only new guy, and get him kind of going through that process of our terminology, and so when he does go through the cut-ups, he's that much further ahead, and will be, I think, more impactful in how we structure spring practice. But I think it's allowed us to just further that process and be a lot further along than we would be in spring ball. And we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited about Tony being up top. I think that's going to be a good situation for us, and he and Jeff will work great together. And they're excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. Be different not having Chad around. It might be a little calmer on the sideline between Chad and Brent. Man, I'm worn out after every game. Not having him down there might be a little bit different, but it's going to be fun. Really, really pleased with how the staff has come together over the last few weeks.
Coach Swinney, James Hale, Sports Talk 1400 The Ref in Norman. You mentioned Brent. Brent was a very popular coach at Oklahoma, and we certainly liked him in the media and things like that. What kind of impact has he had on your program since he's been with Clemson?
All we've done is get better. That's it. We've just gotten better. He's impacted us tremendously. It's been fun. Brent and I didn't really know each other. We knew of each other, but didn't really know each other. And, we had a change at defensive coordinator after the 2011 season. And he was just a guy that wanted to talk to, and we just had a phone conversation, which kind of turned into about a 3-hour phone conversation, and we just kind of connected. And it was like, all right, well, next step, you just got to come out here and just kind of see if it's a fit. And I think he just fell in love with the place when he came there, and it was the right timing for him. He has tremendous respect and love for Oklahoma. I mean, he really does. He loved he's 13 years there. But I think it was a great opportunity for him, a great opportunity for us as a program as well. And the thing that was really good about bringing Brent in is, our backgrounds are very different. We have very similar values, but our backgrounds are very different. And I've always had great respect for Bill Snyder. And I've always had great respect for Coach Stoops. And so he kind of brought in another coaching tree, if you will. And it's just, we're a group of guys. I don't have all the answers. We're a group of guys that really collectively work well together. And Brent was just a great addition from in every regard, you name it. So he's really helped us get better. And from a defensive standpoint, you just look at the numbers. I mean, he took a young group, and now we're number 1 defense in the nation. Really proud of the job that he's done. And if Brent was sitting here, he'd be the first thing he'd tell you is, how great a coach Dan Brooks is, and Marion Hobby and Mike Reed. We've got a great defensive staff. And he'd also tell you that we got players that buy in. I mean, if you guys have been around Brent, he's a tough dude now. He's no nonsense. He's about his business, and he's high intensity all day, every day. And he's a when it's time to work, let's work guy. And so players got to buy into that. And so that's he would tell you that. But I'm really proud of the great job that he's done. And again, this has been a different type of deal for him because he's not a guy that's moved around a whole lot. Like myself. So, when you line up and you play a program that you've invested a lot of time in, 13 years, it's a little bit different. But when we kick it off, it's just about the game, trying to win the game.
Yeah, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. You guys played Georgia and South Carolina in non-conference this year, and historically Clemson's played a good non-conference schedule. Were you pleased that the College Football Committee seemed to endorse that with their selections this year? And seemed to make that a priority.
Yeah, I think that this was the first year of it. There was some good and some bad in the college football playoff stuff. I kind of have reserved judgment on that as we went through it because I really didn't know how it was going to shake out. But I do think that schedule was rewarded, and I do think that's a great thing. People want to see. If you're gonna get there, you got to play people, and you can just. We opened up, and we had an opportunity, and that's what I tell our guys all the time. We have a schedule that allows us to compete to be the best. No excuses. If we can manage our schedule, then we're going to be there, and that's a good feeling to know. That you got a chance. And now getting it done is a whole different deal, but you certainly want to have that opportunity. So I think the committee sent that message for sure. I think there's some, and the other thing is I think they rewarded the championship game. You know, that was an issue with me on the front end. That's something I just really didn't understand is okay, it's not very equitable when everybody else haven't played 13 games and we got another league playing 12. And so I think that kind of came to fruition, and that was rewarded as well. Not necessarily on board with everything that was decided and how it went down and all that, but I think at the end of the day, that process will get better based on what they went through this year.
Dabo, Gene Sapikoff from Charleston. Your defense was really up against it in some games this year, like Louisville, Boston College, and they came through. How would you compare this challenge to those?
Our defense, well, I mean, it's a huge challenge. I mean, they're a lot like Florida State. I was telling somebody the other day, somebody asked me to kind of compare them, and the reason I say that is because Florida State is, you know, a bunch of veteran offensive linemen, big, strong guys. They run the football, a lot of play action, great screen game, do an excellent job getting the ball down the field. Oklahoma's kind of built the same way. They're getting their quarterback back. He brings, you know, a little different dimension. The play just kind of gets started when he scrambles around. He can extend plays. But you know, we're battle tested, so that's for sure. We've been against some really you know, good offenses. Boston College, you know, let me tell you, Boston College is a good football team. They don't get enough credit. I know they had a tough loss yesterday, I think, but you know, these guys can line up and run the football against the best of the best, and you know, I think our guys, the experience that we've had with those type of teams has prepared us for this opportunity. But we're going to have to bring our A game. You know, our guys are going to have to play well, dig in, play with great technique and toughness and fundamentals, and you know, assignment football, because these guys, they know what they're doing. And with those backs, if you make one little mistake, and they got number 3 out there, he's a very talented playmaker. The tight end is an excellent playmaker. They do a lot of pop passes, you know, where they offer their run game. So it makes them very difficult to defend.
Coach, you know, you even referred to it yesterday after practice, where Oklahoma was ranked by some #1 in the country in the preseason. So definitely expected to be a contender for the playoff, and they don't even finish 4th in their league. Is that a dangerous type opponent to play, considering they've had a really disappointing season because you don't know what to expect? Or do you figure you can get them down early and then they'll lose like they did 4 other times?
Oh, man. Yeah, right. Listen, they got 2 overtime losses and, you know, 1-point loss. I mean, really only the game that kind of got away from them was Baylor. And you know, Baylor's a pretty good football team. So this is when you look at them, I don't care what their record is. It's all about the people that you see on tape. I mean, they got cats running all over the place. The reason most all of y'all in here picked them #1 was because of the players that you know is coming back, and they're still there, and they got great coaches. And it's such a fine line between 11-1 and 8-4. I mean, you're talking. I mean, whether it's us or whether it's them, when you're talented enough, and I really believe we were one of those 12 or 14 teams that really had a shot to kind of get in that 4. And you got to catch some breaks. You got to need, you know, got a couple guys stay healthy. You know, make a play or 2 here or there, and you're right there. And we're certainly, you know, with a you know, one more play in Tallahassee, we're in our championship game, and you know, it's a different. We're maybe 12-1, 11-2. Same thing with Oklahoma. It's literally a play here or there, and we're all sitting here, you know, they're not here. They're somewhere else. You know, but they're an 11-1 type of team. And you know, momentum, injuries, all those things come into play. But at the end of the day, when you turn on the film, how do they play? Who are they? And you can just check all the boxes with this bunch. Very talented, very physical. You know, we don't look at scoreboards when we watch tape. All we know is, man, this guy can play. These guys can run the ball. They play good defense. They're really hard to run the ball against. Really difficult to run the ball against. And we know we're going to have our hands full. Got great skill people in the return game. Got one of the best kick returners we've seen. So, we don't, like I said, we don't know the records when we watch the tape. We just figure all that stuff out. Everybody, that's all on paper. But this is a team that I think was very capable of winning it all this year. Just didn't kind of work out that way. You can look at Florida State, who's playing for it. They're probably 3 plays away from being 9-3. But that's the fine line that we all deal with in this business when you're good enough. And there's, like I said, 10, 12, 14 teams out there that I think are really good enough, given a couple of, circumstances here or there.
A couple more for Coach Swinney.
Brenner again from the Post and Courier. Watson's rehab over the last 3 weeks, how has it gone, and are you both content with the decision to shut him down for the year?
Yeah, really, really content in that. I mean, you can just look at him now. I mean, he's already walking without crutches and all that kind of stuff. He's a guy that's going to respond very well. He and Seconder will kind of buddy up and go through the process together. That's always nice when you got kind of a teammate to go through things, even though their injuries are a little different, but kind of treated the same in that regard. But yeah, he's doing well. So he's had a good week down here of rehab, and then when we get back on the 7th of January when they start classes, he's really going to be just a lot further ahead. I'm glad that we're not dealing with it when we get back, and then we got to start the process fresh from there. He's going to be a lot further along, and it's going to pay off for us this summer in particular.
Coach, every coach is different when they're trying to motivate their players. Last year here for the Capital One Bowl, Coach Spurrier talked about how his team was viewed as the underdog, and he mentioned it several times. You guys are the higher-ranked team. You have more wins. You're viewed as the underdog. Do you use that as any kind of motivation for your players for this game?
We just play. We just focus on how we play. It's really not about all that stuff. I mean, we're the underdog all the time, so it just kind of seems like the norm for us. We don't really get into that. Don't talk much about it. It's just really, here's who we're playing, and it's important to know who they are, but at the end of the day, it's really about how we play, and how we play is determined by how we prepare, how we focus, our attention to details, the purpose that we bring into meetings and practice, and then we have a plan to win, and let's focus on that. Let's execute the plan to win, regardless. We've never really paid. That's one of the things that I think that hopefully we've been able to change over the last 6 years is it's not about what uniforms we wear. It's not about what time we kick off. It's not about what the weather is or what somebody says about us. It's really not about all that stuff. It's about what we control within, our team and our attitude, how we think, and how we, prepare, and ultimately how we play. We know we're good enough. Whether or not somebody sees us as the favorite to win or not, that's irrelevant to the game. We've won a bunch of games when we've been the so-called underdog, and we've lost some games when we've been the so-called favorite. So that just really doesn't affect us.
Last question for Coach Swinney.
Coach, you talked earlier about your respect for Coach Stoops. Could you just elaborate a little more on that?
I didn't know who Coach Stoops was until about 1995 or 6. I was coaching wideouts at Alabama, and he came in to coach the DBs and coordinate at Florida. So first met him on the recruiting trail. I recruited Florida heavily when I was at Alabama. In fact, I had this area, I had Orlando. So I bumped into him a few times. We recruited a lot of the same players. And then, had some head-to-head battles with him. He was only there, I think, 3 years. And so had to compete against those guys. But just had a close-up view in watching him coach. And he just did a tremendous job. And a guy that kind of, when he got the Oklahoma job, I paid close attention to. And then just, the success that he's had has been remarkable. I mean, I know at a place like Oklahoma, you're supposed to win the national championship every year. And I get that. I spent 13 years at Alabama, so I understand that. At Clemson, we're only supposed to win it every other year. So I understand the expectations and all that kind of stuff. And, they're only 8-4 this year, a lowly 8-4 football team. But the success that Bob Stoops has had is unprecedented. And when you do this for a living, I know how hard it is to win a game, much less a million of them like they've won. I don't know, they've averaged like 10 a year. It's very difficult to do. They've been in about 4 national championship games. And, I didn't know that until I looked at their media guide when we found out we were playing Oklahoma that they're the winningest program since 1946, since World War II. And Bob Stoops is a big reason for that because he's been there for 16 years. And they've won a bunch of games over those 16 years. So I have great respect for Coach and his staff. I've known a lot of those guys. Gundy was at UAB in Birmingham when I was coach. He was a young coach at UAB. I was in Tuscaloosa at Alabama, and would bump into him all the time. And I was excited for him when he had an opportunity to go out there to Oklahoma. And Jackie Shipp, I know, is no longer at Oklahoma, but he and I coached together at Alabama, and he left to go back out to Oklahoma. So I've kind of just kept up with that program and have really had a lot of respect for them from afar. And then 2 years ago, I got a chance to meet Barry Switzer on the Nike trip. That was quite an experience. I'll never forget. I read the book, The Bootlegger's Boy, several years ago, and so I got a chance to meet Coach Switzer, and that was pretty neat experience as well.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time.
Okay, guys, thank you.